John Osborne here. You can follow me on Twitter and StockTwits at TraderJohnO. Let's do the FX Educational Outlook for May 10th, 2017. We'll start up by looking at the pound yen. You can see we're making this nice run up. We've been watching it as it's breaking through the previous pivots that we had with these horizontal lines. And look at the strength that we've had. A little bit of a questionable day a few days ago, but a really nice movement up. We're getting up towards this let's say that's 148.473 or so, or 441, I think that's what that says. And we're heading up towards that. So let's see if we can get a resistance on that. Let's give you a real number for that one. That one's at 148.447. And we'll see what happens when it gets up there. It might pause and come back down again. It might just go sideways for a little bit, and it could just run right through it. But one thing that's against us is the 148.447 down here. You can see that we're doing a little bit of a slowing as we approach that on the weekly. So let's keep an eye on that. Our momentum is still pretty strong. For the pound Swissy, you can see that we're also moving up towards this 1.32041 resistance. So let's keep an eye on this 204 or 120 minute as well. You can see we're getting a little bit of a consolidation towards midday today, and we want to see if this can go higher, but we're bullish across the board on this one. So I do expect this one to go higher if we can get through this 1.32041. We're not quite there yet, but we want to watch it as we near that. We're still rising on the euro yen, which is struggling to stay above the 124.089 previous pivot that we see here. We're bullish on the weekly and the daily, so we are looking for that to go higher, and we're struggling right now to break through this little mini downtrend here that we have, which is, we're just right on that line right now, and if we can break above that, our next resistance would be 124.319. For the US dollar yen, you can see we're also moving up. We've now moved up pretty strongly on this break of this pennant that we see here on the weekly. So we'll be watching for resistance at 115.615. We have broken the previous pivot here on the 120 minute, and that was at 114.326, although we've pulled back down. So let's see what happens as it nears that a second time, if it does. For the US dollar Swissy, we've broken through this daily trend line that was a resistance trend line, and we've gone up and moved towards the previous pivot here, but look how the bottom of today we went right down and touched that trend line again and retested it. So let's see what happens. We're looking bullish on the daily, but not so bullish on the weekly. We'll see how that works out. For the Aussie Swissy, you can see this one was interesting. We've been bearish in this. We had this nice breakout and moved down, and we always say watch out for the previous pivot. Well, look what happened here. We went down and touched that, and we've reversed back up to the previous resistance that was a support back here. So it's interesting how it's moved up. So let's see what happens. We've had a nice pull back down here. We could see a move back down towards the 0.72727, and we've got bearishness on our side on the weekly. But we are looking a little less bearish on the daily, and certainly we're looking bullish on the 120 and the 240. So it may go sideways for a little bit before it resumes back down, but we're still overall on the weekly anyways bearish, even though we've done this pullback. So let's see what happens with that. And with the Aussie US dollar, we are moving down. A little bit of an uptick today though as we approach this 0.72862. It's not surprising. So the question is, do we break through this and continue lower, or do we bounce into another run up and go up to retest the top of the pennant? So we'll be watching that one. And finally, the euro pound is still consolidating. It's sitting on this 0.84046. We broke through it and came back up to retest it, and right now we're a little bit below it. So let's see if we can get some downward momentum here on the euro pound, but we have to watch this 0.83039 as the first support, which is this previous swing low right here. And that'll do it for today, and we'll catch up with you next time.